Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Nibor here with Awkward Menage Podcast. We're having a very interesting show today. I have a great and very special guest on the line, a wonderful Facebook friend of mine, brother's friend. I have yet to meet him in real life, but he gives great advice. He always says, listen to the privileged white guy. And I feel like sometimes we all need a privileged white guy. So tonight, this is my privileged white guy, or how I would like to represent you, if you don't mind, my token whitey. Is that okay?
Yep, sounds
All
good.
right, great. So go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Yo, what up, everybody? This is Tim. Currently reside in Syracuse, New York. So do my best with the podcast, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you can do is your best in anything. So how's life treating you right now? How are you with these COVID restrictions, or are you seeing any more restrictions in your area?
Um, Life's going all right, I guess. COVID was pretty challenging this year, especially I had a couple of career different changes, so it's been pretty tough. I'm not privileged as you'd say, but uh, I've done pretty well. Unemployment definitely helped getting that for the 3 months I was on it.
Yeah, yeah, I know it helped a lot of people and it fucked a lot of people with that unemployment. But I feel you. I know a lot of people, especially myself, done that too. Like a lot of different career changes in a very short span of time, and then you think you got a job, and then shit shuts down, and you don't have a job.
Yeah.
So it's been rough for a lot of people. I definitely do understand that one. So today we are going to go a little bit back in time, a little bit back in time, and we're going to talk about the first presidential debate, which apparently is going to be our only presidential debate. um, how did you feel about that debate, and how are you feeling right now about the state of the current election?
I didn't really like the debate, to be honest with you. I'm a Trump supporter. I don't always agree what some of the policies and things he does. Personally, I don't care what he says because he's a human being. He can say whatever he wants. I don't care what any president says. It's their actions that prove everything to me.
Hmm.
Um, some of those actions I don't like and don't approve of. Some of them have been healthy for the government and the people of the country. Uh, I didn't like the debate. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't hear both sides. As a moderator, as a moderate, I'd like to hear both sides so I know who to vote for. I voted Obama 2 terms because I felt he had better policies. He was an overall way better person
Obama.
than Mitt Romney. So, and
Oh,
now, Clinton came around. I was never a fan of Clinton, Bill Clinton, uh, but that kind of drove me to vote more Trump. So I did a lot more research on Trump, obviously, just because she did a lot of fucked up things during Obama's presidency. Um, but the debate wise, I just felt like I wanted to hear. I went to that. I listened to that debate so I can hear Biden and so I can hear Trump. And honestly, I couldn't hear either one of them because one was too busy calling the other one a clown, and the other one was too busy interrupting the other person. So I couldn't hear the debate. So it was kind of pointless to me. I was kind of pissed off at Trump for just keep interrupting and not letting the other guy speak.
yeah. That debate, honestly, I still laugh at it. It was hilarious. And it's even funnier to know there's not going to be a second one. But yeah, I wish Trump would have just, shut up a little bit. But we needed a better moderator too. Like, I feel like we needed a better moderator. Trump needed to be quiet. Biden, and I feel like Biden, he was smart because he danced around certain questions by pointing the blame at Trump. And I feel like he knew Trump was a hothead. So I'm gonna just keep poking the flame, and then boom, it ignites. So here he goes again with the things that he says. And I'm a little curious, why do you feel like the things that he says isn't as important as the things that he actually does?
Because it comes down to the end of the day, actions speak louder than words. So I can sit here and, talk down. Let's say me and you are in the salespeople, and I'm talking down to you, but your sales. Look, I'm saying you're a shitty salesperson, but then you're actually putting in the work and getting sales. Because at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter what someone says; it's how they act. Like the locker room talk he had, and all that nonsense. But I mean, all the talk he's talking behind the closed doors, just general conversations that people have reported him on, where it's supposed to be just a regular conversation, people recording, he doesn't actually act on. So I just don't think, I just think that the liberals run with that instead of looking at what he's actually accomplished. He's an everyday person. He's not a politician, so he's not used to shutting his mouth per se and watching his P's and Q's. So he's gonna talk the way he's gonna talk, just like me and you would talk. Me and you have a conversation, and then you say something or I say something that's not politically correct, and it gets leaked. It's just like, that's not me in real life, though. That's just me bullshitting with
the
people.
homies, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah, I feel you.
I feel, there's a lot of people that say stupid shit but accomplish a lot. So
that is very, very true. However, I feel like with Trump, one of the biggest things he doesn't understand, and one of the biggest things I feel like a lot of people don't understand, is the platform that this man has, and how many minds he's able to move and shape with that platform. So we need a president who is poised, who is level-headed, and who's not just gonna spew bullshit and misinformation. And and I honestly, they're all, like you said, they're politicians. They all give us bullshit anyway, I feel like. But we need that leadership of the country. Even though shit going down, tell us shit going down, but you know what, we gonna bounce back. This is what you need to know. This is what's gonna happen. Boom. Like, you don't have to just cause so much chaos when it's something as simple as choosing to shut the fuck up. That's it.
I would definitely say Biden has a bad history with that. Historically, he's devastatingly disenfranchised the Black community. He's passed laws and policies which allowed the cops to be militarized, to use those guns in inner cities, or in not the suburban areas, because you don't see the cops rolling down in tanks down suburbia. You see them rolling down tanks in the city, unfortunately. Even when I lived in Vegas, there was some guy holding someone hostage down in the area, and they rolled it was like armored tank division riding down 95. So it kind of threw me off, because I literally thought it was a military division riding down the highway. But I mean, so far Trump's numbers I don't think are bad. Historically, he has the highest Black unemployment, or lowest Black unemployment. I apologize. So that's always good. I mean, any numbers that are low on unemployment are really good. That means more people working, and that's what we need in this country. I feel, from what I've seen, reading my independent sources online and just in all the mainstream media, he's actually brought back more factories and more jobs from Mexico and China. He's trying to bring back manufacturing. Whether or not he fully can, I mean, you don't really know, because there's a lot of different things going on in the background that we don't even know or hear. But historically, since late 90s, manufacturing has been pulled up by the millions and tens of thousands to overseas in Mexico. So it's not just a Trump thing; it's every politician thing. Because every politician before him hasn't helped with bringing back manufactured jobs either. Obama, Bush, Clinton was the start of it, where he was pretty much mass exporting a lot of our jobs thanks to the horrible deal in NAFTA.
What I'm saying is, I don't know too much about manufacturing at all, but I will say I know we need to manufacture more things just as it goes to the COVID response. All our masks were coming from China and then they weren't sharing, and we have nothing because we
Yeah.
don't make these things in our country. So I'm definitely for bringing back those jobs and domesticating those jobs. So in the event that some shit like this happens again, we are prepared and we don't have to worry about relying on anyone else to provide us with the things that we need. But my question is, and I heard you say something as it pertains to Biden's history with the legislations he's backed and he's pushed. How do we compare Trump to Biden when it comes to that? When Trump wasn't always a politician, Trump's been a businessman. So he hasn't, and then I can say he has spoken out publicly in regards to some things that were political matters. But how do we compare those two?
Well, I guess so we only have 4 years of Trump, but we have 40 years of Biden, so you can't compare 100% to them because it's only 10% of the time that Biden's been in office. But in the past 4 years, Trump hasn't made any policies or laws that hinder or stop the Black community from growing exponentially. So but on the other hand, the past 40 years, Biden has countless policies, countless laws that he's been involved in. He's personally actually built and developed for these laws, like the 1986 crack law that
Okay, so I did take the time to get some of the policies that Biden has backed. Um, and just Trump and Biden both, as well as some of the things that they've done and said. One thing that I came across that I thought was funny was that Biden called Obama the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. And it worries me because I believe this came out in like 2018, 17, something around that time. Not 100% sure. Did not write that down, unfortunately. But the first mainstream African American who was articulate, bright, and clean. That's kind of fucked up. In the 80s and 90s, he was the leading crusader for mass incarceration, which locked up a lot of our Black men for the very same drugs they gave to us. It was the quote unquote Biden crime bill of 94, aka the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act. And yeah, I can understand, Black people were pushing for it. This is what we said we needed to make our community safe, but why will we trust the same people that gave us the shit that was destroying our communities in the first place? And then in the 1970s, he fought against school desegregation through busing, meaning he saw that there was an issue with students getting back and forth safely in white communities. Um, so they should not integrate the school system. I felt like that was they can't know where we live because if they live on the same bus, type shit like that. And then he also introduced an amendment for federal education funding that explicitly said that money could not be used for desegregation purposes. You could not use federal funding to desegregate the school system, which is it's a little fucked up. Mm. Mm. Trump, he did the First Step Act in 2018. He made it easier for the elderly, terminally ill, and low risk inmates for an earlier chance at freedom and getting their life back sooner. A lot of them got out with what's it called, house arrest. But he does have a history of racism when in the 70s he was sued by the U.S. Department for Racial Discrimination because he refused to rent to black tenants, violating the Fair Housing Act. He made a statement against Central Park Five, who have been since exonerated and still feels like they are guilty and should be upheld to the fullest extent of the law. In 1992, he had to pay $2,000 for transferring black employees and women off of a casino floor due to a high rollers prejudice. 2010 and 2011, he pushed propaganda in regards to Obama's educational credibility and origin of birth, demanding records. However, he's still fighting to get his tax return to remain sealed. So that's kind of like a contradiction. But I mean, like, we have Biden, we have Trump, both
I mean, is
history deep
Obama
in
is the Obama
racism.
birth certificate subject really racist though? I
Has
mean,
he ever, but that's my thing, has anyone ever in history before Obama ever demanded a president prove their citizenship? When has that ever happened?
well, no, but Obama's, what was his mother? I think it wasn't a U.S. citizen, so it raises skepticism. But
Where
personally,
was
I
he
don't care.
born? Where was he born?
He's supposedly Hawaii, right?
Right. So
But
if he was born on U.S. soil, that automatically makes him a U.S. citizen.
I think the question is
That
not
was a
whether he's.
technicality with all the immigrant children, right? Why
Yeah, no,
they
I get
stayed and
that.
their parents left.
No, I get that. But I guess the thing is with some people,
Hmm.
uh, they don't believe it's more of like I guess a conspiracy type thing, So some
Hmm.
people just don't believe the birth certificate. Uh, so was he born in was he born in Hawaii? Was he born in Africa or Haiti or whatever else? Does it really matter? Especially to bring it up after Obama's actually out of office and you're back in office. So to me, I think it's just him maybe trying to spark another fire, bring the spotlight off himself. I mean, maybe that's something that should be changed.
Maybe, possibly.
Maybe add a little diversity
So,
to the political system here.
yes, it's kind of fucked up. Very fucked up. So, we have Biden, we have Trump. You said you haven't always agreed with his policies, don't really care about the things that he says. Right now, would you still lean to Trump over Biden? I kind of feel like I already know the answer to that question, though.
You're gonna be wrong because I'm kind of 50-50 right now, to be honest with you.
Really? Hmm.
Well, it's probably 51-49. Just because Biden does have such a poor history on policies on racism and laws and all this other crazy stuff, and he was part of NAFTA, which actually fucked the country more than it actually helped the country, which allowed a lot of jobs to be outsourced to China or Mexico. Um, so, but at the same time, he has that 40 years experience too, So, and I'm sure he's done some good.
Mhm.
But I'm not by any means a quote unquote Biden hater. I look at the facts, and if I don't like the
Mhm.
facts, then I don't vote for that person. That's why I was kind of more interested in listening to the debate because I did want to hear what both parties had to say.
Right.
I felt the VP debate was a little bit more civilized. I didn't think Pence so you got 2 minutes. You get everything
Yeah.
you got to say in 2 minutes, and then you're done. Not continue let me speak. So it was a little bit more civilized, but it wasn't fully civilized.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it. I keep saying I'm gonna watch it. I still haven't watched it.
Both sides lied their asses out. You
I'm
kidding
not
me?
interested. That's all, man. Shit. That's what I feel like every side does. And that does surprise me that you say that you're like 51-49. Last time I checked their approval ratings, Trump is at a 41%. And
Yeah, just looking up
Biden,
Trump.
huh? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Trump's at 43 and Biden's at 52 or something like that.
Biden's at 52. Yep,
Yep.
Biden's consistently been at 52. So, yeah, and then they said a lot of Democrats showed up and showed out that first day of early voting. I know I spoke to someone that same day, and they said they had a friend who went down to the polls, and they literally stood in line for 3 hours the first day to vote. And I'm like, there's so many more days to go. Like, you stood there for 3 hours, but people are really fed up with the way things are going. Um, it's crazy. You have all
Well,
these
it's like
far
that one meme
lefters
that
and
you're.
far righters just coming together and butting heads
It's like
big
that one
time.
meme where people are supposedly waiting in line for miles to vote, and I'm just thinking like, no one in their fucking right mind is gonna wait miles to
Gonna wait
vote.
that
Like,
long to vote.
yeah, like the picture's so grainy, and it doesn't even look like it could be pictured in the United States. So it's like it doesn't look. I mean, I guess it could be. It just picture looked like it was from like 1998. So
Yeah,
I'm like, no one in their right mind is gonna wait
no one's
three
doing that.
three
Well, it's
miles.
true.
You
No,
know how
not
long it would
about
take
three
you to walk
miles,
three
but
miles in a line like that?
people waiting
More than
some
3 hours.
hours though, which is
Yeah,
crazy. But
I could see 3 hours, but 3 miles, no. I mean, that's ridiculous.
yeah, very much so, very much so. So, how do you feel about the voting on the lesser of two evils? Is that all we're doing as a people?
I feel like as a whole, that's really what we're doing because if you're not open-minded and you're whether you're right or left leaning, you're gonna vote that person regardless. Like my ex's stepfather he's 100% Republican. Like you couldn't tell him any differently, and he voted for Mitt Romney both times. He is so when you're extreme left, I call him an extreme right. You're gonna vote for those parties regardless of
Regardless, yeah.
what the truth is. Where you got libertarians, and you got uh, moderates that are more open minded a little bit, and they're gonna see one side over the other and vote that way. Who knows? I mean, Biden still has 18 days to convince me uh, to get my vote. The one thing I would like to see is maybe like a student debt forgiveness. If Democrats maybe pass that, maybe they get my vote with that. Hopefully they're watching. Uh, so, uh, but yeah, right now I think I almost don't want to vote, to be honest with you. Uh, but right now, if I was forced to pick someone, I would probably say Trump again. But I would like to hear more from Biden.
Yeah, a lot of people are on the fence, like they don't want to vote, but they feel like they absolutely have to vote. And I've heard that they voting on the lesser of two evils, and then Morris was like, "Oh no, you're not voting." My brother Morris, you know, we're not voting on the lesser of two evils, but like that's all I feel like we've ever done is just
But he
vote
falls
on
on
the
the
lesser of two
the
evils.
one of those extreme like left people where he's a
Yeah,
Democrat to the end and
no
he'll
matter
vote
what.
Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I feel
um,
like they expect a lot of black people to be that way, to just be Democrat and vote Democrat. But I mean, that's the way they've kind of conditioned us to vote when we do show up and show out. It's always Democrat. Oh, wait, my phone died. Oh, no, it didn't. It just locked. Okay. So you do feel like, despite him continuing to spew misinformation, we can continue to put our faith in Trump for the next 4 years. 51%.
I would say with any politician, you're not gonna be able to put 100% of your faith into that person. Is
Yeah,
Trump
definitely not.
spewing? Is Trump spewing some misinformation? Absolutely. Are the Democrats spewing a lot of information? Absolutely.
Speed it up into the future. Let's say Trump wins, Biden wins, who cares? The next 4 years have gone by. We are voting for president again. What type of candidate would you like to see as our next presidential candidate? Like, no matter what party it is.
I want someone that's going to be focused on the economy, because at the end of the day, a stronger U.S. economy means that people have more money. The country's doing well off. There was a time where the husband could go off to work and afford a new car for the house, take care of the house, buy a house, buy, health insurance for everybody, not struggle, and still have money to retire on and live off of. Now it's, you got the husband and wife working, and they're struggling. So I'd like to see someone that could bring the economy back. And whether or not two people want to work, that the father stays home, the mother stays home. I mean, they both can work, but I want more money in the pockets of the U.S. citizen. I feel if we all had more money, everybody would be happier. There'd be less hate, as you say. Because you look at like Europe, for instance. I mean, we don't live there, so we don't see it. But from the outside, it looks like there's a lot less hate in Europe because the economies are probably a little bit better there in certain countries.
So do you think it's the economy? Because we have a history of what the economy looks like for you as a white male looking different for me as a black female, or even a black male. Our economies are different.
They have been historically, yes.
What economy are you speaking of? And then when you said something about Trump being the first president to, his numbers are the highest for the black economy, and I can say you're probably right, but they did not start statistically following black economics until 1972. So they have been following the economy for everyone else besides black people up until 1972. That wasn't that long ago. They don't have information for us. So we don't know what our economy looked like before, when we were segregated and we were doing for ourselves and trying to rebuild every time somebody came to burn it down, versus now. So it's kind of hard a little bit to make an informed decision when you're like looking at the history of things, and then you're looking at the way things are, the way they're going, and then knowing still in the back of your mind that the image of America that people keep talking about on television, on social media, truly has nothing to do with someone who looks like you, meaning me.
So if I remember the first question you asked me, because that's a long statement.
Yeah, it was.
So I want the economy to be better for everyone. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're Hispanic. It doesn't matter. If we all make good money, we're not going to be as much of an asshole to everybody as we are. Money doesn't really bring happiness, but when you have enough money, it can bring comfortability and make you feel better, less stressed about whether or not your electric's going to be paid or food on the table,
makes
your
things
rent.
a little easier.
So I feel everybody made more money, then everybody would be happier. Now that might be like a dream, like I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to succeed. As a friend, I'm sure I always try to get people to achieve better. I want everybody, regardless of the race, to do better in their life. So if I can, me personally, be that stepping stone for someone and help them out and put them on the right track and get them to do better, then I will. Whether it's give them car advice or financial advice or, yeah. So, I mean, if it's something I can do for you, I always try to help people out where I can. And that's why I want everybody to be happy. There's no reason to be so hateful, regardless of who you support,
Right. I feel like we're all just people, and we should be able to get along and just look out for each other because it's the right thing to do, just because it makes you feel good. Yeah, warm and tingly inside. Okay, I think it's about that time. Final thoughts?
Everybody should be happy in the outcome, regardless if it's Trump or Biden. Our economy has always bounced back. So I don't see it going down, but who knows? It may.
And how do you feel about the racial tension when it comes to Trump winning or losing? Do you think that's going to increase or decrease at all?
Um, well, I don't. I mean, the only reason why I see racial tension now is because it's an election year.
Mm,
Uh, Before the election year, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's always been there, you know. So, but is it usually worse when it comes down to Democrat versus Republican campaign year? Absolutely. Um, you're always gonna have dumb cops making dumb decisions, uh, and hopefully we can get change in with the legal system to uh, put forth better guidelines on when cops can actually use guns.
hmm
If the person's unarmed, should you be pulling a gun on them?
No.
No, you should be trained, or at least if you're not strong enough to take down someone who's on drugs or for
hmm
whatever reason, or just angry or whatever like that, then maybe you shouldn't be a cop.
Yep, very true.
You should have some kind
You know
of
what? I heard of
training.
someone saying that they would like to see, or maybe even someone implementing, where they have a psychiatric professional on hand for those types of calls when you have to talk someone down and you don't have training for that.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
I think they're implementing something in one of these cities or states where they're gonna have non-lethal weapons, no weapons at all. It's gonna be a task force that if it's a non-weapon situation,
Mm,
they'll go handle the situation instead of sending the cops in. So I
right.
think that's a good idea because I mean,
Yeah, and a lot
cops.
of cities have taken that route where they, I know I'm sorry to cut you off
No, you're good. Sure, show.
sometimes, but they, they, some people don't do that. But they, a lot of cities have implemented that where, like, if they feel like it's a mental health crisis, they're not going to send the police unless you feel like you need to go to the hospital. They're going to send someone to come talk to you, or they're going to call someone for you and then patch you through. So they're trying to slowly but surely get there, but I feel like in certain areas it's not fast enough. And in those certain areas, we need to start doing the research and looking at the statistics, and then starting to implement change in those areas first before we try to say, let's go ahead and dismantle the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm on their side, like on that situation where they should send someone a mediator in first, and then the mediator has a radio. If they need backup, they can call in backup.
Hmm
So I feel that would be a great start to changing the legal system until they can properly train these law enforcement agents to not shoot first and ask questions. I mean,
hmm
on the federal level, you don't see any of the U.S. Marshals or federal police just randomly killing people. You know what I mean? Because they're properly trained. So it comes down to locality,
They shoot
not training
rubber
their police
bullets and
right. They're
tear
too quick.
gas.
Um, I mean, you got 3 months in the military training alone, and it's physical hand-to-hand combat training and weapons training.
Yeah.
Why are cops
But
getting out in like less time than
yeah,
that? You
like in New
know,
York, I think I saw a video where a cop, he ran over a crowd of people in his SUV. There was two of them. I couldn't believe it. And then I feel you on like the military police and Secret Service and all that, but I can't fully trust that because when the president says, "Hey, I want to go take a picture in front of this fucking church, go shoot the people with these fake bullets and tear gas them and get them the fuck out of here," like that, that worries me. That people would actually just follow a command so easily instead of thinking, hey, these are people. This could easily be me or someone that I know.
yeah.
How would
But
I
so
want
let's say everybody. So let's say some people did speak up. I mean, you took an oath to follow orders no matter what. You take an oath to, protect the president. So ideally, like you speak up, you're gonna probably lose your job at that point. And I mean, if you're in a riot or protesting, and you get orders, hey, we need you guys to back up, regardless if they tell you why or not. I mean, you should probably back up if you're peaceful protesters, right? I mean,
But
if
see,
you don't
that's
back
the
up,
thing. It's messed up that one, it's a right to be able to protest, and if they're peaceful,
peacefully
why do they?
protesting.
Right. So if it
Yeah.
is a peaceful protest, we can prove it's a peaceful protest. Why do they have to back off? That's one for me. And then the second thing is there are strength in numbers. Divided we stand, or what was it? What is it? Together we stand, divided we fall. So if you think that it's wrong, the more people that stand up, the more likely it's not going to happen. Had everyone stood up that day and said, "No, I ain't about to do this shit," what would have happened? He would have either walked across to that fucking church with the protesters there, yelling, screaming, chanting at them peacefully, or he wouldn't have gone.
I mean, I agree with you on that every aspect you just said.
I
I
know that's not
feel
realistic, though. I know it's
no, it's
not
not,
realistic at all. Like, not
because
at all.
there's
But
there's been times where I've
it
spoken up
should
like
be the reality that we all have. That's the things that we do. We stand up for one another. Stand up and show the fuck out for one another.
for the president to go out and do a photo op with an upside down Bible. I mean, that's up to him. Uh, Personally, if I seen all the rioting going around the country, especially in DC where I am, I would probably feel a little bit more safe behind my gated yard with military, Secret Service, and police, everything guarding me. I wouldn't go do a stupid photo op with a Bible. I mean, honestly, I can't recall him ever going to a church in the first place. So why does that matter?
I think it'd probably light up if he went into a church.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't go to church myself either. So
Neither do I.
so I mean, religion means nothing on that aspect.
Yeah.
But it seemed really pointless to do a photo op like that.
Yeah, definitely do.
And I feel like he definitely should have voiced more on all the riots and protests and uh, and injustices happening, where he could have said, "Hey, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna fix law enforcement. We're gonna fix training. We're gonna, instead, like a lot of these police departments now, because everybody wants to defund them, I have to take away training now. These cops can't get their insensitivity training because they lost X amount of dollars out of their budget, so now they can't afford that. They're obviously gonna cut training before they cut, armor and vehicles and everything else. So
They are the ones who show up and are supposed to help, not hinder, not disable, not kill if they don't have to.
I personally
So,
feel they need to get a third party, like fully independent, no influencing psychiatric
like some
person,
sort
like
of mediator.
psychiatric,
Yeah.
to actually
Yeah.
give them the formal, hey, is this person fit to have a gun,
A
bulletproof vest,
full,
you
like
know what I
a
mean?
better psychiatric
Yeah.
evaluation than they
Well, just
have
someone who's
now.
not in their department, so they don't like, oh, this guy's good, and sign off on it. Someone would say,
Mm,
this guy's a fucking nut job. Like, you should not give him a fucking gun.
right, at
Someone
all.
who someone who maybe isn't as stressed, because I'm sure these people have a lot on their plate already, and then they have to interview these freaking idiots who are applying to be cops. So like, I
Yep,
think my
just because
brother,
they think it's bang bang, shoot 'em up.
yeah. So I mean, it's literally like uh, protecting. Was that protect and serve, the one with Seth Rogen where he's like a mental case?
Oh
About
yeah, the boy. He's
yeah,
trying to be a
yeah,
cop,
yeah.
but they
So
won't let him be a cop.
yeah. So he's the mall cop. It's like Paul Blart Dark, you know.
Right.
So
Emo Paul
uh,
Blart.
I mean, that's what it comes down to, though. It's we need a better vetting of our
Mm,
law enforcement. 'Cause
yeah.
I think everybody already knows right from wrong,
Yeah.
and half these, if you look at the statistics
Nah,
of
you can't say
accuracy in
everybody
law
knows
enforcement,
right
like half
from
these law
wrong.
enforcement agents don't even have accuracy. They're like 26%. That's why they fire so many bullets, because they don't have accuracy. Uh, I feel like if they had more gun training as well, they would be able to shoot once and maybe uh, not kill someone, but maybe
Yeah,
injure them
just
enough to where they,
disable them.
yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah. But not
but I
like
think a lot of,
disable in the sense of they lose a limb or they
No, I mean,
paralyzed,
but I
but
mean,
just get them down without killing them.
you
You
could
know,
shoot someone in the arm or something like that. I mean, you always
right,
have a chance
right.
of like, you always
That's
have a
what
chance
I
of hitting the
think.
artery
Like,
and stuff.
okay,
You
oh
know,
my God, they're running away. You couldn't shoot the motherfucker in the leg, couldn't clip him in the shoulder. Like, that's going to put someone in shock. They might even stop for a few seconds, enough for you to catch up to them. And that's why I
or
feel
simply if you're
like,
law enforcement, you couldn't stay in shape to catch someone either. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen some of these law enforcement out here. I mean,
hey,
you
big,
know, yeah, I mean, they're big as me, and they expect to be
big
able to outrun someone.
boys.
That's it's not going to happen. So,
Very
uh,
true.
I don't think defunding the cops is a proper way to do it. I think we need to give them maybe the same funding and actually properly train them.
I feel like that's a double-edged sword for me. I feel like certain precincts don't defund them if they're doing the right thing. The track record is good, but the other ones who have a history of just wrongful deaths, wrongful arrests, all that shit, defund them. Let them pay for their own fucking training and prove that they deserve the funding before they get it back.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it should be a one shot chance to be a good cop. I mean,
Yep.
everybody, I mean, I guess everybody makes mistakes here and there, but uh, have an independent agency investigate the situation.
hmm
You shouldn't, your own department shouldn't be investigating you.
Yeah. So how do you feel like the people can get these things done? Like how do we get these things implemented in our neighborhoods and our communities and on a federal level as well? Like where does it start?
I feel like, well, I feel like no one should have to do anything. I feel like it should just automatically be implemented. Like we should just make notice of it. Like we already have. I mean, it's been an ongoing thing throughout U.S. history is corrupt
hmm
cops and everything like that. But I feel like maybe the community leaders need to go and speak to the police chief about what needs to be done. Some communities can afford extra money for better training, and some communities, like my own here, uh, can't.
hmm
I mean, when I live just north of Syracuse, so it's like 14,000 people in my city that I'm in. Uh, but the money is spent on like parks and not like roads or police training. Like our police are one of the highest
Right.
paid in our area.
Must be a lot of kids. I don't know. That
So
shit weird.
like they just put in two
And
new
I hear
parks.
your
Like
governor ain't
it's like
shit,
we're gonna
so
spend $200,000 in a park. Uh, that's actually,
wow.
well, I mean, it's expensive. They subcontract everything out. It's not like the DPW doing it. So I mean, we just don't have the extra money for cops. The cops here are
Right.
still using like old crappy like Crown Vics and stuff like that. So they're not really using like Dodge Chargers like the new cops are or
Right.
anything extravagant.
Ford
Um,
Explorer trucks and shit.
like we have two paid fire stations. Like why?
Wow.
Why do we have two paid fire stations? So I mean, there's a lot to it. I mean, I don't want to bore your
Yeah.
podcast with my local issues. So
No, no, I understand, but I feel like it's those local matters that matter the most. And I know you say, it should just be given to us, and I 100% agree. But I'm with some people where it's the time where we stop asking and we start taking. So some people they want to riot, go ahead. I'm not going to riot. I'm not even going to go protest. But I'll try to do what I can, and I will do what I can to try to see the change that I want to see. And I feel like everyone needs to start doing that. If you want to make 100 phone calls on a phone bank, then that's great. Make 100 more. You want to go to the local town hall meetings, that's great. Go to double the amount you started with. Like, I don't think anything is going to change until everyone starts standing up for the same things consistently. And that's my final thought.